I mean, we've done this before, so I can't really quite put my finger on exactly why this specific email and request for To Catch a Cheater, War of the Roses, whatever you want to call it, feels so radioactive to me. And I think it's because the stakes are just so high on this. I mean, really, really high. And I'm just envisioning us having to tell her that her husband is cheating on her while she's pregnant.
And nobody wants to deliver that news.
Oh, nobody wants to do that. And we've done it in the past, but I just feel so when we get off those calls, just like so awful. But I mean, I've also said that if this is what you guys want us to do, then we should do what you want. And it'll be up to all of us to make this decision. But let's read the email and see if we really want to go down this path.
This is my first time contacting you all, and I'm feeling really nervous about sharing my personal life, but I don't know where else to turn. I'm a new mom to a beautiful 4-month-old girl. The joy she brings is something I could have never imagined, but postpartum life has been tough. I'm sleep deprived, hormonal, and just generally struggling to adjust to motherhood while maintaining the rest of my life. However, that is not my main concern. My main concern is that I suspect my husband might be having an affair.
All right, so let me just step in here for a second. I thought she was pregnant, but I don't know that I feel any differently about it. Did have a 4-month-old?
She was pregnant just 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. My main concern is that I suspect my husband might be having an affair. I noticed a change in his behavior since our daughter's birth. He's been distant, aloof, constantly on his phone, and often working late. There are long periods where I can't reach him, and he comes up with questionable excuses. Last week, I found a receipt for a restaurant we've never been to together, and he brushed it off saying it was a business lunch. But something just doesn't feel right. He used to be so involved, so happy to be around me. I understand that being a new parent is stressful for him too, but this feels different. It's like he's slipping away from me. I've tried talking to him about it. I tried talking to him about how I feel, but he always shrugs it off or says I'm being irrational due to my hormones. Every woman loves hearing that. It's making me question my own sanity. I'm terrified of confronting him without concrete proof, and I'm equally scared of what I might find if I dig deeper. I know postpartum depression can play tricks on one's mind, and I might be overly sensitive or suspicious due to lack of sleep and hormonal imbalances. She seems very self-aware. I'm proud of her. But what if it's not just that? I love my husband, and I thought he loved me too. The thought of him cheating is tearing me apart, but I can't shake it off. I'm hoping you will help me, and I pray that you can simply confirm that it's paranoia. Thanks so much, Kelsey.
Okay, I mean, we've done this before in the past. Same type situation. Names are different and stuff. So, maybe the whole, it's so odd to me having gone through it twice now, and all of you guys, Cassie and Kristen, going through it too. The whole life dynamic, family dynamic changes, right? Mm-hmm. Immediately. Like there's this new human being, and everything that we did before we had kids the rules are different now. The blueprint changes in one day. And I don't know if it was false hope that was sold to us by our parents that everything is great as soon as you have the kid, right? From a previous generation. But when you look at it logically, there has to be a transitional period. I know I went through it. Cassie went through it. Kristen is going through it. It's stressful, you know?
More than you ever could have imagined. Life is going to be different, but it actually, the effect it had on my and my husband's relationship, that I was not prepared for. Mm-hmm. And
which is so, it sounds so logical when you say it out loud. Like, of course it's going to be different. But when you're living it, like you guys are living it, it's harder than you ever imagined. It's a new person. Everything has changed.
In what way did it change your relationship?
So throwing a third person into the house, it's a great question. And it's a hard one to answer. But just the two of us and how we interact is different than the three of us and how the three of us interact. And when you add another human being into the household that you are responsible for keeping alive, and I don't want to say your parenting values don't align, but you parent differently, you're going to butt heads more often, and you're butting heads on something that is the most important thing to you in the entire world. So you're going to take things more personal, and you're going to be more defensive, and the sleep deprivation puts you on edge more so than you ever could have imagined. And you end up seeing sides of each other that you had never seen before. And then you start questioning, like, did I even know this person? But it is a phase, and like that newborn phase. And it's very tough, especially with the sleep deprivation. You get out of that and you start to like see the light at the end of the tunnel again. And Bart and I are getting to that point. But there were days when it was like, I don't know this person. And I'm sure he felt the same way about me.
It's hard to explain, but I think your kids bring out the best and the worst in you and your family tree.
Yeah.
And there are just parts of your significant other that you and they might not even have known until this little thing is in the house exposing all of it.
It really, having a kid forces you to confront past trauma and past bad habits that you didn't even realize, but you're seeing it rear its head more and more, and you don't want to impart them onto your kid. And at the same time, you're redefining who you are. So not only are you sleep deprived, you're on edge, you're always being clinged to, so you're just like, don't touch me. Your partner is different. You may not align with parenting styles. You don't know who you are anymore in this new role. You don't recognize your partner. Everyone's mad all the time. And now you're having to face and like really buckle down on your own trauma and therapy so it doesn't impart to your kid. And that's what everybody leaves out. Like when you're like, oh, you'll have a baby, you'll be a little sleep deprived. And no, it's such a life change. There's even like, we talk about teens and adolescents. Moms go through matrescence. It's like another transitional phase of your life. So it's so much more than anybody ever talks about.
So that gets us back to our original question here. With all that, right? All of that might be very true. She's coming to us and she's saying, I hear what you guys are saying. Maybe it is my hormones. I don't know. I just need concrete proof. And we haven't really turned one of these down for that reason. This is what she wants to know. So are we, or am I, because you guys haven't even heard your opinions on it yet, putting my values on a segment that she clearly wants to do about her husband?
I don't think she's wrong for wanting to know, because here's the thing, like the infidelity is either happening or it's not. And whether or not she doesn't know, or if she keeps herself in the dark, like it's still going to keep going on. So I almost feel like it's better to confront it head on and actually find out if there's an issue, or if it actually is just something like him coping with new parenthood. Like maybe this is bringing out some avoidant tendencies in him where he's like going off to restaurants by himself just so he can have an hour alone. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be better to confront this and actually find out what's going on.
All right, so that's a vote for do it.
Yes.
Mo.
It does feel sticky, and I understand why. And I don't like when people say, if they don't get it here, they're going to get it somewhere, because that doesn't mean that you have to be the person that they get it from. At the same time, I know if I'm in her shoes, which is what I try to do, put myself in someone else's shoes, I'm going to find out. If this is something that I want to know, one way or another, I'm going to find out. So I believe that if she understands completely which is at risk, which I believe she does, and she wants to know, I don't think there's anything wrong with us helping.
Cass?
Do it. I would not let it sleep. If I were in her position, it would be all I could think about. So if we can give her a break and erase this from her mental load, I say we do it.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Cassie. Otherwise, it's going to fester and it can turn into something worse down the road.
4-1. We'll do it tonight. It's The Bert Show.
The Bert Show.
Stakes here are so high. They're so high. I said yesterday, man, I am just really not looking forward to this. I mean, she just had this baby 4 months ago. But you guys said she wants to know. She wants to know. And it's her decision, right?
It is her decision because, as you like to say on this show, she's a grown-ass woman.
No, but if this goes sideways, you guys are delivering the bad news.
No, your name is still on the show. If we're going to do this...
Can I take all the logos and leave with me?
All right, fine. If it is bad news, Mo will deliver it.
That's brave of you, Kristen.
Toss it right there.
That's Kristen stepping up. All right.
Abby, now you get to toss it to Katie. Okay, Katie.
Hey, Kelsey. Good morning.
Hi.
Hey, we're joking here, man, but I feel the pressure, and I feel like what's on the line here, right? And it's happening in a public forum, and I hate that you're even at this point right now to do something like this. So for those that weren't here yesterday and didn't get to hear the email that you sent us. Kind of bring us up to speed on why you're feeling the way you are right now about your husband.
I mean, I just had a baby, beautiful girl, love her. And I just feel like my hormones are off. I'm not really sure, really. I don't know. But I just feel like my husband is cheating. I don't know. I mean, I found this receipt for this restaurant, and he says that it was a work business thing, and I just want to know, because I just don't know if I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. Like, I don't know what to do.
All right, so, Kelsey, mom to mom, these inklings that you have about your husband, we're going to put those aside. Mom to mom, how are you doing right now?
I just feel a little overwhelmed. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot, and
first
I'm
baby?
not used to. Yes, my first child, and our first child, and my relationship with my husband has always been amazing. He's always been very super supportive, and you know, it's just I feel a little overwhelmed, and now I can't tell if he's just being distant, you know, and but I mean, it's, you know, nobody really tells you about the whole postpartum thing. You know, like nobody ever really talks about it, and it's tough. You know, it's really tough.
It's very tough. It's going to be especially tough on you because of the changes your body is going through. And I do feel like it's not discussed enough and openly. I think, Cassie, you're on the same page as that. It's like everybody tells you what to do for the baby when the baby gets here. Nobody tells you what to do for you after you've had the baby.
Because it feels selfish, right? I mean, the first thought is selfish, that if you share that with anybody, they're going to go, but you got a new baby.
Well, but the thing is, like, a woman's body changes so much, like from a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a mental standpoint. And like you said, with the hormones, like what your body goes through to create life and then to give birth, and what it has to go through afterwards needs to be discussed, because it's not just, it's just such a vital conversation.
You feel like a failure too. If when you see everyone else, nobody else is talking about it, and everything's all hunky-dory and you're struggling. But here's the thing, Kelsey, and not to get all up in your business, but we kind of already are. Baby blues last about a couple weeks after giving birth. I just want you to be on alert, and you don't have to divulge any info, but if you're continuing to feel like really sad, I mean, it's going to be overwhelming regardless, but if you're feeling sad, you're having some extra anxiety or intrusive thoughts, those can be signs of postpartum depression, and you need to talk to your OB or a therapist about it, because it can spiral and get worse. And I'm here to let you know I went through it myself, and there is help out there, and it helps. And a lot of people, because it's so new having the baby, you don't recognize that's what it is. You just think you're overwhelmed when it could be something chemical.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I just I think there's just a little bit of that, and I think my biggest thing, if I could just get through this thing with my husband, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That if I can get that off of my mind, I feel like that would relieve a little bit of it. You know, I just feel like my mind, I hope that it's just my mind playing tricks on me. I hope that, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think in the overall scheme of things, both scenarios are going to be very difficult no matter what the results are here, because the dude's cheating. I mean, that's a whole set of other circumstances. But, you know, if you now realize, like, this is the hormones and I'm seeing things that aren't even there maybe, then at least you can get those fixed. You can see somebody about that and they can guide you through that. So it's certainly the best case scenario, but neither one are great. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the signs have been, he's been going out. You see the receipts. You said he's kind of been shady with his phone also?
Oh, man. I mean, it's like all of a sudden I can't reach him. And, you know, when I was pregnant, I could reach him all the time. But now it's like I can go like a couple hours and I'm not able to reach him. You know what I mean? And it just, everything just seems a little off, you know, with us.
And I want to address, like, you know, what you're going through, I feel is, you know, not that there's a normal or abnormal, but what you're going through is typical. You have to remember the father, they deal with, some fathers deal with postpartum depression as well. And it can be a difficult transition, especially since you already have this bond with the baby that you carried for 9 months. So it could take him or the partner a little longer to really kind of embrace that role.
It's really the very first time that I took therapy seriously, you know, when my kid was born, and I just felt like I didn't have a connection with my son. What? And I just felt like, oh my God, I'm my dad, and I'm not going to let that happen. So that's when I got into therapy, but I was going through the same feelings, man. Like I said yesterday, you having a kid, I mean, it puts a mirror up to you, and you see the best of you, your best of you and your kid, and the worst of you, right? So, all right, let's at least get you some results so we know what we got to deal with here.
All right, so I'm going to do something a little different here. Kelsey, my heart goes out to you, and I know you're going through a lot right now. And typically on the show, for dramatic effect, we read through like the promotional email we sent and the flower arrangements. I'm just going to get right down to it and tell you exactly who we sent the flowers to, okay?
Okay.
Because I just don't want to put you through all that. Kelsey, he sent the flowers to you, babe. Okay. He chose the classic bouquet of long stem roses. He's sending them to you, and on the note on the card says, "Just because and just for you, I love you, Austin." Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to drag that out.
So that's really, 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 really great news.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel so stupid.
Don't at all.
Don't do that. Don't come down on yourself. Listen, you need to give yourself a little bit of grace, and you need to give your husband a little bit of grace. But at the same time, communication, as trite as it sounds, is so key and important, especially those first few months after you bring a baby into the mix. You and he really need to sit down and get on the same page so you can be teammates together and be support for each other.
Yeah, I feel like too. I feel like I'm being a little selfish too, and I just want to know how I can also be supportive. So, because I don't want him to like avoid my phone calls. Like, is that why I can't reach him? Or, you know what I mean? Like, God, I feel like an idiot, but I'm so happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
And Kelsey, I think because he's a new parent too, I think if you go from the perspective of like, hey, I'm struggling, I'm feeling alone, don't accuse him of stuff. But once you accuse, that's when the fights start. But if you go in like, I'm feeling this way, I need extra support. And also, I think what can I do for you as well? How can we do this better together? I think that's going to be a lot easier conversation.
And under no circumstances do you tell him you did this.
No.
Okay.
No.
But you
Get yourself some flowers.
Yeah, whenever you have time, if you can, we unfortunately don't have it in the budget to send roses. So if you can send yourself some roses, that would be awesome.
It'll feel good too.
You've earned it, girl. You've earned it.
No, I do appreciate, and I just want to say, I also appreciate you saying about the men going through depression too.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, so thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Kelsey. We will check in with you in a couple of weeks. Hope everything is okay.
Thank you so much.
It's a Bert Show.
The Bert Show.
So, first, thanks for watching. Second, you like what you just watched? That just scratches the surface. Get the Bert Show on any podcast platform. We're so good.